Welcome back to my channel. So it's been a very long time since I've done a masterclass Monday, but I am back and ready to go. And as you know, if you watch my previous video that I put out, I am going to be training you on how to start a social work digital online business. And I'm doing that completely free. I promise that by the end of this series, you will be able to sell your first digital online product. Okay. So let's jump into step number one, which is understanding the components of a digital online business. Now, the reason I want to start here is so that you know where we are going. We are going to cover all of these components through various lessons as we move forward, but I think it's important that you understand these components. Now, before I get started telling you about the components, some of the things that we're going to do a couple of things before you actually dig deep into setting up these components of your digital online business. And one of those first things is you're going to need to determine your area of expertise. Now, we will cover this in more detail in the very next video in this series, but I want you to start thinking about it now before we get there, so you have time to think about what you would want to do as far as a digital online business, right? What do you want to teach? What transformation do you want to help people obtain, right? It's not always just teaching, right? Sometimes it's coaching, sometimes it's various different techniques that you might utilize to help your particular target audience member get to the destination that they're seeking to get to. It might simply be by providing education. For example, this channel is an educational channel that provides a specific transformation, right? What is that transformation? It will show you how to go from being overworked and underpaid to owning your entire 24 hours as a digital entrepreneur, right? And so that's very specific transformation. And so you'll want to think about this before we get to this next series of videos, because it can start to move pretty fast. So that's one of the first things I want you to think about, and one of the first things you're going to have to do before you dig deep into these components. The next thing that you're going to have to think about is conducting market research, right? So you're going to need to know things about your audience, understanding what type of information they're consuming, looking to understand what type of transformation they're seeking, right? So you're not going to just know this. It's not going to always be readily available, right? Sometimes this market research can be a number of techniques that you use to gain that information. And so we'll cover that in more detail in a later video, probably the video after the next one. So this is about 2 or 3 videos away, but I want you to think about those two things before we dig into the digital components today, because those two things will precede us really digging deep into the digital components in the later series of this video. So let's get into the digital components without any further ado. So the first digital business component that we're going to look at is your client attraction method. And so what is the client attraction method? And just so you know, notes to this video can be found inside of the Patreon community. I have linked to it in the description box below. If you are not part of the Patreon community, which is the Social Work Mogul community, then you can go ahead and get your notepad and take down some notes so you can get the information and implement these things that I'm going to tell you about today. Okay, so let's get back into the first component of your digital business that you really need to understand a lot about is your client attraction method. Okay. Now, in a digital business, it's virtual, the whole nature of it being digital, right? You want to be able to scale your time. You want to be able to do something and then replicate it without actually manually doing it again, right? So what do I mean by that? I mean that if you teach a workshop, if you teach a live workshop, whether you teach that workshop in front of people or you do it through a video series or a live event that's virtual, however you choose to teach this particular workshop, you can capitalize on that workshop by recording it and then selling the replay to people who maybe weren't able to attend that paid workshop, right? Or you want to scale the effort that you put into that workshop, right? So why just deliver it one time face to face when you can deliver it one time face to face, record it, and sell it multiple times, maybe over the next year, 2 years, as long as the information is relevant, right? So you want to, yes, you're still going to trade time for money, right? You always hear, and even I say it, you can stop trading time for money. You can stop trading time for money on an hourly basis, meaning trading your precious time every hour just to make money. You can trade your time for that 1 hour workshop that you teach, and then you can sell it multiple times without actually having to trade your physical time again, right? That is ideal. That is how you are able to generate revenue and scale your time. You can free up some of your time. Even if you continue to work, even if you continue to be in the community, you can absolutely free up some of your time by doing these things. Well, in order for people to purchase your products, in order for people to know who you are, in order for people to understand how you can help them, in order for you to highlight your areas of expertise, in order for you to highlight your skills, knowledge, and talents, you have to be searchable. People have to find you, right? And so the way that you do this is by determining your client attraction method. And so I teach two particular client attraction methods, and that's going to be YouTube video and YouTube podcast. I do know how to set up a standardized podcast that is going to go out to iTunes and Spotify and all of those things. I'm not going to teach that here on YouTube. However, I will teach you how to start a YouTube video series and a YouTube podcast series, right? And they are slightly different. The way that they go out, because a podcast has an RSS feed, very technical terms. Your girl is not technical, so don't think it's overwhelming, but there are certain things that go into a podcast as opposed to a regular YouTube video channel such as this one. Okay, so after you've figured out your client's attraction method, you're going to go to digital business component number 2, which is going to be your content plan, right? Because once you get a client's attraction method, you typically have to produce content so people know what your area of expertise is, right? You have to highlight your skills, knowledge, and talents. And the way that you do this is by creating content, right? So, for example, this video is considered content. What is your content plan, right? Now, understand when you first start, you will start with a preliminary content plan, just as I did 2 years ago almost. And then your content plan will change over time, but you have to be doing the work in order to figure that out. And so a lot of people, when they think about YouTube or starting a YouTube, they become very scared about being seen on camera, which you don't always got to be seen on camera, right? There's plenty of channels where people are not on camera and they still disseminate valuable information. So there's things like that, right? But also they think about like, oh, what am I going to do? What am I going to say? There's a method to the madness, right? All it is about is learning the process, right? And so you will have to come up with a content plan so you can figure out what kind of content you're going to put out, when you're going to put that content out, what all of that looks like, right? And so I help you with that right here on this channel. We are going to dig deep into content planning, what type of content you should be putting out, how you develop content, and all the nitty-gritty things when it comes to content development, which can be daunting to a lot of people when they're thinking about being a digital entrepreneur, right? And they definitely ain't teaching this in social work school. Even though I love schools of social work and what they teach, they're just not teaching this, right? Okay, so I like to call those the starter components. So when you are first starting, those are the only 2 digital business components that you will need to focus on, right? That's it. You master those, and then you move on to the next thing, which we're going to go. So again, those are starter digital business components. The next set of digital business components that we are going to look at are your growth digital business components. So let's get on into it. So the third digital business component that we're going to look at, which is the third in this series, but the first one under your growth section is going to be lead capture and communication system. So you might be saying, what? That's just my fancy way of saying email service provider, which is basically, how can I explain? So I'm pretty sure we all have done it. Somewhere someone's offered 15% off or 30% off or sign up for my newsletter or what have you, right? Get on the wait list. I think I did for my business get on the wait list, like, right, because when I first started my YouTube channel, I didn't have a lot of things created, but I was in the process of creating them. So people could get on the wait list. People did get on the wait list, right? They learned about different launches that I had, launching my YouTube channel, things like that. But it is basically a way for you to capture leads, which are people who are interested in you, your business, the information you're sharing, what have you, and then being able to nurture those people who are interested by communicating with them via email, right? And so you can send them emails letting them know when new videos are coming out or new podcast episodes or what you're working on. You could do a newsletter, you could do various different things, right? You can also run sales campaigns through these email service providers, right? So this is where a lot of your selling is going on. Your selling is not going on through your YouTube video. It can, but it's usually very subtle and typically not a sale that's going to give the person the transformation, the larger or the more significant transformation that they're looking for, right? Okay, so you want to capture them as a lead. And another reason why this is important is because in a digital business, you are typically, not always, but typically utilizing some form of social media for people to be able to find you. And because social media is essentially real estate that we are potentially renting, we might be squatting if it's free real estate, right? So these are going to be the social media platforms that do not charge us to produce content and upload content and disseminate content, right? So we don't own these systems, right? And if any of y'all remember Vine, social media or MySpace, like one of the first, it was social media, I guess. But anyway, they disappeared, right? And we've seen Facebook, we've seen Instagram, we've seen these platforms go down, right? So you don't own these platforms, and anything at any moment can happen on these platforms that can cause you to lose access to your audience, right? People's Facebooks, business pages, personal pages have gotten hacked and held for ransom, right? This is why in our trainings, we will talk about things like double authentication, or at least this is things that I will be discussing inside of my Patreon community. But these security measures are important, but even still, with all the security measures that you can implement, the social media platform itself can decide to go offline, right? If YouTube decided we're not going to do YouTube anymore, we're going under, you want to have access to the people that you've already built a relationship with. And the way that you do that is through a lead capture and communication system. That was digital business component number 3. Digital business component number 4 is the lead magnet, right? So your lead capture and communication system is essentially your email service provider. And inside of your email service provider, you can capture leads and you can communicate with these people. To capture leads, you typically need a lead magnet, right? So the lead magnet is going to be that 10% off coupon that might flash when you hop on Shein, right? The lead magnet, Shein says, get on our email list, right? We notify you of sales and all these things. You see it on Eloquy. These are places that I shop at and see it. You see it on a number of places when you go to their website. They try to get you on their newsletter. They try to get you basically on their email list, right? whatever lead magnet they provide that's valuable to you, right? So to some of us, when we first land on a website and it's our first time shopping there and they flash, get on our newsletter and we'll give you an additional 25% off this purchase. For us, trading our email real estate, right, for that discount is valuable. We find value in it. So we give up our email address to this business, right? That's what a lead magnet does. And you will develop one, and people who are in your target audience should find it valuable if you've done your market research and you've attracted them with your client attraction method, which helps you build the know, like, and trust factor. You have a solid content distribution plan. You put out good, valuable content, right? These things seemingly have an order, right? And so you need a lead magnet to capture the leads so they can be inside of your lead capture and communication system. After this, you will need your fifth component, which is going to be an email sequence. So once they opt into the lead magnet, once you give them the 10% discount or they get your newsletter or what have you, you can then create an automated series of emails. This could be 3 emails, 10 emails, 25 emails. It's really up to you on how you want to nurture your new person, right? This person has given you valuable information, such as their email address. In exchange for valuable information that you're providing them, you want to continue to provide them valuable information. You want to continue to nurture them. You want to continue to build the relationship with them, right? And so the way that you can do this is through an email sequence that doesn't require you to manually show up on these particular intervals and send emails. You write them. People opt into your lead magnet. These emails fire on their own, and they do that for everyone. So if you have a YouTube video, you produce content that someone finds valuable. At the end of the content, you invite them off of the app via your lead capture and communication system. Well, via your lead magnet, which they are now inside of your lead capture and communication system. And now they have an automated series of emails that can help nurture them along on the customer journey, which is getting them closer to the transformation they are seeking. Okay, so that's what your email sequence does. After your email sequence, oh my God, what is that? Number 6 we're on. You're going to have your starter digital product, right? You're not going to start with your product. You're not going to lead with your product. You are going to develop, you're going to determine your area of expertise. You're going to do market research to find out what your target audience is seeking, what transformation they're seeking from a person who has your area of expertise. After you do that, you are going to start to engage in your client attraction method. You're going to take your content plan and deliver content. You're going to invite people off of the app through a lead magnet, which gets them inside of your lead capture and communication system. You are going to nurture them with an email sequence. And once you've nurtured them with an email sequence, you found out the information you need to know about them. You are then going to offer them entry into your world with your starter digital product. And that is your growth series. And that is your growth section of the digital business components. Now, the next section we'll look at is the scale phase or the scale section. It will be a while before you get to this section. I'm in this section, but still working through it, right? I will be honest with you. Typically, I say to the scale phase, according to how fast your business grows, right? You don't want it to grow too fast because you want to learn the things you need to learn so that you're prepared for the growth. I've seen people grow really fast and then burn out because they didn't know where to go and they didn't have the skill set yet, right? But the scale phase, we're going to talk about those digital business components. And we're just going to briefly cover these because we don't really So this is not anything I'm teaching on YouTube how to do these things, but I want you to know that they exist. So as you go on your journey, you're aware that these are things you will need, right? And so one of them is going to be your sales page. So this is the first under your scale phase, but this is the, oh gosh, what number is this? 7, number 7. Yeah, I'm working on it. So number 7 in the series, but number 1 under the scale phase. Again, you'll look at somebody else's YouTube channel. They might teach it differently. This is the way I teach it because the way I learned it, I hated it. And this just made more sense to me in breaking it down to people. So, sales page, you need it. You're going to need it. You're going to need it because you're going to need to know how to do one. Because after you do your starter digital product, you may want to evergreen the product. You may want to have add-ons to the product, or what we call upsells. There's a number of things that you can do. You may want to use your starter digital product to transition into your signature digital product, right? And when you sell your signature digital product, you're definitely going to need a sales page. And I say you learn about sales pages before you even create your signature digital product, because a lot of times, or the way I was taught, is I created the product first and then did the sales page. And I was like, I wish I would understand more. I wish I would have went through understanding the sales page first, because it would have helped strengthen my digital product. Me personally, just me personally. So this is how I teach it. After your sales page, you're going to need a sales transaction system. So the way that I teach you on your starter digital product is to sell through your email service provider. It's no additional cost. I use ConvertKit for my email service provider, which would be my lead capture and communication system. And I teach to sell through that, so you don't have added expense of a sales transaction system. However, once you are making money off of your starter digital product and you are now advancing to creating a signature digital product, you will gradually start to make more money, and you can then get into getting a different sales transaction system, because more than likely, the way I teach it, your signature digital product will be housed in a more robust system that can handle a signature digital product, right? And we will cover the difference between what is a starter digital product compared to a signature digital product. And here on this channel, I am going to teach you how to create, I think it's about 4 or 5 starter digital products, okay? But once you sell your digital products, once you get rocking and rolling, you're going to need to start looking at a sales page and a sales transaction system. You're also going to need to look at automations, right? A lot of these systems will already have their own automations. For example, your email service provider, again, I teach ConvertKit. It already has automation. So when you build that email sequence that we discussed, that's an automation. If you use that email sequence that you type up for the next 3 years, you don't have to type up another email sequence for 3 years, right? There's an email sequence that I have that I've been using for 2 whole years. Now I'm going to revisit it soon, but I did work 2 years ago that I've been utilizing over and over and over and over again, right? The beauty of it all. So even though that system has automations, there are other systems such as Zapier that can take your systems that already have automations within the system and then automate those two systems to work together, so you do even less manual work inside of your digital online business. You will need to look at those in the scale phase, because that's what helps scale your business, is having additional automations. In addition to having automations, you're going to need to look at having customer service. Now, you should have some form of customer service from the beginning. Usually it will be you, because you're not going to have a lot of customers in the beginning, right? But as you start to acquire customers, there's going to be a point that you reach where you're going to need customer service provider. Now, I have automated systems that I use for this, right? And I'll show you how to use those automated systems. At some point, you can probably hire someone for this position, but that's that's going to be down the road. Maybe for some of y'all might blow up according to what you're doing, to what you're the transformation you're helping offer. So according to what you're doing, you might blow up, but typically that's going to be somewhere down the road. But customer service is something you're going to need to think about inside of your digital online business. And there's several automated systems that do this for you. You're not going to need the customer service rep like, hello, thank you for calling, wherever. After customer service, another thing that you want to think about is a testimonial capture system, right? So you've created your starter digital product, you've built the know, like, and trust factor, you're nurturing your leads through your email service provider, you're showing up, you're doing the things, right? And so soon you're going to have a signature digital product, because the starter digital product is just the tiptoe into their transformation. It's usually something they need to learn before they can engage in the larger transformation. So for me, for example, writing a business plan, a lot of people came into the world of the Social Work Entrepreneur Academy because my starter digital product was helping you write a business plan. Now, is this a product I still offer? No, I don't offer this product anymore. And that was just 2 years ago, right? No, 3 years ago. 3 years ago that started. So I would say for the past 2 years, I've been utilizing this and I no longer use it anymore. So you're going to change things up as you grow, but you're definitely going to need to capture testimonials. They help with your what we call your cold audience, right? So when we talk about your content plan, or when I teach it, I'm going to talk about your cold, warm, and hot audience and who those people are and how you move them along the customer journey. But your cold audience, when they come into your world, you're still at the very beginning with each of them, right? You still have to build the know, like, and trust factor. You can speed that process along when you have testimonials. And collecting testimonials, you want to do this in a legal way. And I'm going to show you how to do that not here on YouTube, because like I said, this is the scale stuff that's in another program that I have, but I do teach it. And we do talk about it here on YouTube. We do cover some very high level things about it because I think it's important to know, but we don't go into deep instruction on how to set that up or anything like that. Okay. So those are all of the digital business components that you absolutely need. Are there other components that you can have? Absolutely. But I like a very simple business. Hence, I don't want a lot of moving parts. This is why I only recommend selling 1 or 2 digital products. I'm very much a fan of a starter digital product and a signature digital product. You can also have a spotlight digital product, which maybe spotlights a specific course. So maybe my starter for example, I did have a spotlight digital course. My starter was a business plan, and my spotlight course taught people how to do the credentialing process. So how to complete their applications for credentialing to be on the health insurance panels if they wanted to start a clinical private practice. Because remember, my business started as helping social workers start their clinical private practice. Through market research and through feedback, I realized you guys weren't interested in that, at least not from your girl, not from your girl. And you wanted to know more about starting a digital online business. And since then, my channel has grown. And so, I appreciate all the new subscribers. I truly do. I forgot to mention you guys. I was so excited about teaching the components of a digital online business as I like to teach them. Because let me tell you something about YouTube. It's just strange behavior to me. But you got people who come across your video and they're like, I don't agree. Okay, so go teach it another way. You know how many math teachers I had to find the math teacher that worked for me? And there were other math teachers that I absolutely hated. I was like, oh, they suck. But, and this was early on in my college career, right? They sucked, in my personal opinion. There were other students who thought they were fabulous, right? So everything's not for everybody. And this may not be for everybody, but I'm telling you, I teach it well, very cohesively, and I teach it to make sense simply because None of this made sense when I first started my digital online business, mainly because people were like, just stick to one specialty. Okay, well, give me all the other ones on for free then. Right? So I do have a specialty that I stick to. We talk about it inside of my Patreon community. But this right here, this is all stuff you absolutely need to know before you could even step into a space where I'd be willing to work with you as a consultant or anything else, because I need for you to already be there, right? And I'm not going to charge out for that. Just get there. Get there. Watch these videos. Subscribe to my channel so you don't miss any of the uploads when they first drop. Be sure to check out the Patreon community if you're interested in getting the notes for these videos so you can have more understanding about them. Hopefully you took excellent notes. If you are not part of the Patreon community, and if you don't want to be a part of the Patreon community, I completely understand. But hopefully you took great notes. And until next time, this is your girl Michelle saying, stop waiting. The time is now. Start your social work digital online business. Bye for now.